And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, this is video number 3, talking about the Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing, the first wave. The first video was about the starter set and how the game plays. The second video is when you include the stuff from wave 1. I talked a little bit about how troops worked and just what my thoughts were on the overarching game at that point. And then this one here, I'm just going to be taking a closer look at what comes in the different packs. There's 8 different guys who come in wave 1. This is what they look like. This is the Sun Elf Wizard. They come in these plastic packs. But let's crack them open now and see what's in each pack and see which one of these units you'd like to add to your armies. Okay, first we're going to look at the Wraith here. This flying ghost here. Okay, so you have the Wraith. And the Wraith is a very powerful character. It has a flying slash ground card here, which has some pretty good maneuvering. He's not super fast, can't go 4 speed, but still can fly around and can even spin while in the air, which not all the flying creatures can do. You have your regular Wraith here, which, if you look at it, is fairly expensive here because it's 25 cost, and it doesn't seem like it has a ton of advantages, especially with only a 1 ranged attack. But the big deal here is that it's incorporeal, which is a new special ability that so far only these guys have. They're not affected by obstacles. Their attacks penetrate armor. Each time they defend against a primary weapon, they can convert one of the concentrate results into a miss, which is a pretty cool thing, especially when they attack other creatures. Lord Maximilian is even more powerful at cost 50, and his stats are pretty high, and also he can do an extra 1 maneuver as an action, which kind of lets him move around. But it's kind of how the ghosts can upgrade and do things. For example, they can get Chisel, where they can essentially destroy armor. If armor is being annoying, these guys can get rid of it. Here, they can convert their attacks from regular hits into bigger hits, and you have to be undead to equip this one. Here you can target a creature at rage 1 or 2, and they get a continuous effect where they can't attack, which is crazy to affect creatures around them. Sinister Plot's kind of a weird name. I would have called it like spookiness. Here they can attack someone and then do a white 3 maneuver, which is pretty neat. You hit someone and then go away. But then we got some really cool stuff. Life Drain. You have to be a Wraith to equip this, where when you hit someone, you heal damage, and even worse, create Spawn, where when you kill someone, you can put out another Wraith, a regular Wraith of your type, and if you die, the other Wraith dies too, but at the same time, that's very powerful. So the Wraiths are expensive, but you're going to want them in their army, and it's really interesting to see them go up against dragons. Next, we focus on the Frost Giant. Now, this is a very big figure, as you can see. Large and has a giant base. Great, I love the paint job on this guy. And he is a very powerful figure. We look at his movement, and I was kind of expecting a lumbering giant. This guy is not lumbering. He can move forward at 4. Yes, that exhausts him, but still, and he can move backwards 1. He is stuck on the ground, but he has some very powerful attacks. He's not really worried about flying creatures, since he can throw a rock pretty far there. You can see at range 3, and even his melee attacks have a range of 2. Now, there's no way that he's really good at dodging, but he has a very strong attack and some decent armor. And if you use the specific one here, Jarl Horn, when he charges, he can use the 2 movement to charge rather than the 1. A very useful guy, especially if you upgrade him with the Frost Battle Axe, which gives you an extra die. And the attack is considered a specific kind of attack now, an ice attack, which may or may not matter, but still a really cool thing. Scale of the White Worm, which is basically you can discard that to do damage against every creature in every direction, kind of like an explosive type thing. He has a Horn of Blasting, which is a very similar thing. Blow a horn and attack creatures. Some very powerful armor here. You can't use arcane spells, but who cares at this point? It lets you convert critical hits into regular hits. Bestow Curse. Poison Blade. Now, the Poison Blade's interesting. I think Poison Blade's going to be one of those cards that you would like to use on other people, although it specifically says you must be an evil giant. Will there be other evil giants? We can hope so. But still, I don't know that it's useful to use the Frost Axe and the Poison Blade at the same time, but this kind of gives you an option of which one you want to use. And then Rock Catching and Battle Cry, where he can get other guys, especially if you're going to use right now the Hobgoblins to go with him. That will help them. They'll get this continuous effect where they get +1 attack die when they attack with their primary weapon. He's leading the other guys into battle with his fierce Battle Cry. Now we have the Sun Elf, which is a small figure here with fire coming out of their hands. The Sun Elf has a card which they have some movement. They're not the most maneuverable creature, and if we look at their stats here, they're not the most powerful creatures. They're only 15 points really, with some decent stats. They can hit one range in front of them, big deal. Now this one's an upgraded one, a much more powerful wizard, where their spell upgrades cost -1 point, and they have a few more life and can equip 3 different spells and some other stuff. So it's going to be hard, I think, to take a normal elf spellcaster, especially when you see all the spells that you can add. There's leadership, where you can help other people around you, and a silver staff, which gives you another magic spell that you can do, and gets rid of the disabled tokens from all of your spells, which is a really powerful thing if you take a lot of spells. And look at the spells. The first spell is Fly, which essentially lets you use a flight path. So this is for the Fly spell. Anybody who can cast a spell will be able to use a spell and move around, so you can fly up and fight against the dragons. Dispel magic, get rid of someone else's magic. Mage armor. If you don't, you can only take this if your armor is 0, but it gives you a little bit of armor. Fireball, which is a nasty kind of explosive attack that you can do 3 dice against the different creatures that it hits. And then the very powerful level 11, only the special elf wizard can take this, Disintegrate, which does 6 dice attack against a creature. You can blow someone to pieces with this one. So the elf wizard has some serious firepower. Now we have the Dwarven Siege weapon, this little ballista here. This is a pretty cool looking thing. I wasn't really expecting this to be in wave 1, but it's kind of cool that it's in. You can sit there, and it's a very powerful thing to use against dragons. You can see that its maneuverability is horrible. It's red maneuvers on all the 2s, turn around or go back 1. You can move it slightly forward or curve it to get it in position, and only moving it straight forward is considered a green action. But look at the stats on this thing. It rolls 5 dice and has a range of 4. That's very powerful. Even has a little bit of shields, and if you use Calamity, your armor cannot be penetrated by non-critical damage, even from those attacks that penetrate armor, and there seems to be several of those. So that's a pretty cool attack, and you can upgrade this with a lot of things. And this set comes with a lot of cards that are only for siege weapons, where here you can discard that to avoid getting an exhaustion token, so it lets you do 1 red maneuver when you need to. Here you can fix one of your face down armors, or fix some of your face down damage. Demolitions Expert, when you hit, you then do an attack that when it hits something, another 2 dice attack, so it's like putting explosives in it. Here you can make 2 attacks rather than 1, like a rapid reload. Artillery Master, you can re-roll the dice when you attack people. Or here, you can change your concentrate results into critical hits rather than regular hits. And then a bag of diamond dust, which normally you can't equip a heroic upgrade onto an artifact, but this one allows you to do that. And you can hit people, and when you do so, then they can't take actions. This is cool. It's especially good for its powerful attack and range, but if you can get behind it or something, it's really vulnerable. Now we come to the Green Dragon. The adult Green Dragon, there was 3 dragons included in the starter set. This is the 4th dragon, so now you can play 2 dragons on 2. A very nice looking model. This dragon is going to be similar to the other dragons. It has both a ground movement and a flight movement. And so you can see that its maneuvering is fairly similar to the other dragons. It's maybe, at first blush, doesn't have anything special about it. It can hit an attack from both the front and the back with its tail or its head. And then there's the special dragon here, who I can't pronounce her name, Kogi the Amiter. Anyway, other creatures, when you're facing them head to head, they get -1 attack dice. I guess that's kind of like you are so intimidating to them. And then we got Poison Breath, which is a very useful attack value, that it can penetrate armor, but you couple that with Toxic Affliction, and when you hit somebody, they roll -1 attack and -1 defense. So it's almost like you should just guarantee take these together to give this dragon a very powerful poisonous attack. But you also got Tome of Naming, which will does some good damage against a unique named creature or anyone who's a lower level than you nearby. You can exhaust them. You know, I guess you're mocking them. Oh, you're stupid. Ha ha ha. This is one of my favorite spells in the game, the Protection from Energy, because you can pick one of the energies and you can cancel a point of normal or critical damage from that energy. So if you know you're going up against a fire dragon, this is very useful. In fact, if we're drafting cards building an army, this is one of the first ones I'll pick, or Invisibility. So another dragon. This kind of rounds out the dragons, the 4 starting dragons. I'm sure we'll see more as time goes by, different dragons. But now, like I said, this allows you to play 2-on-2. Here's the Sun Elf troop, and there's 6 of them included in here. I guess you can make 2 groups of 3, or a group of 4, or 5, or 6. They can go from very inexpensive to expensive when you use all of them together. Of the Sun Elf troops, like let's say you're using the Harpers, which is a special legion, they cost 33 points to use 4 of them, which can be very expensive and seemingly not so worth it when you're fighting up against a dragon or so. To take all 6 of them cost 41, but they do get 5 attack, 1 dodge. They have 1 health with no armor, so they're not really known for their armor. Let's take a look at their cards. Here we can see that their maneuverability is okay. They basically move forward, and they can move forward quickly, but at a disadvantage. It's their range that matters. Here you can see they have a 4 range forward. Yes, they only do 1 attack, but for 10 to bring one of these guys on the board, not a terrible thing, although I don't know anyone's ever going to just bring 1 archer on the board, probably more. And then the much more expensive Harper Legion elves, when these guys attack, they can convert one of the concentrate results into a hit. So they're very good at ranged attacks. And then there's cards where you can do different things. Here, this is a displacement, helps as defense. The Mithril Thorn, finally we can get some armors onto these. Some column formation is very cheap. Point blank range, when someone's close by, you're really nailing them with those arrows. Here you can pick a new point soldier and rearrange the troop. Here you get to shoot first. Doesn't matter what your level is. That's a very cool thing and can make them very interesting. Line formation, where you can have 4 guys in the front line and you can attack everybody then. Elven Accuracy, which lets you, if any of your damage is about to be deflected, you can disable this and spend your target token to penetrate their opponent's armor. Very powerful. And Limnin here, where your troop has +1 agility, and when you lose a soldier, you have to roll an attack die, and if you roll the critical hit, it goes away. But you can disable the card to remove a troop token from the bottom of the stack rather than the top. So instead of the army getting weaker, they stay at full strength. It's very interesting, especially with the +1 agility, and I think it's certainly worth 5. And all you have to do is be a good troop to use this. The other troop in the game is the Hobgoblins, and they're not nearly as good at ranged, but they're kind of the opposite. They are good at running up and punching the other guy in the face. You can see their maneuverability is slightly better than the elves. They can at least run straight forward without getting exhausted. And we look at their attack, they still have ranged. They still have a 3 ranged attack. But you can see that even just one of them rolls 2 dice in hand-to-hand combat. And if we upgrade them all the way to number 6, they will be rolling 5 dice in hand-to-hand combat. Although you're not going to be rolling any dice when someone attacks you on the defense. Their upgrade is the Zentarum Warband, where they can re-roll one of their blank results during a melee attack. So like I said, these guys can really do well running up and attacking the opponent. They also have different things, sophisticated tactics, a square formation where you can put 4 squares, 2 and 2, and when you do that, you can attack people within range of any soldier in your troop, not just your point soldier, which is really cool, or a wedge formation. A power attack lets you change one of your regular hits into a critical hit. When you hear the Juggernaut Mantlet, where you can basically ignore 2 hits, scatter when someone's attacking you. A Mog here, which basically lets you equip a special upgrade, one of these upgrades, and they include one. Because when I got this, I was like, prayer, they can't take prayer, that upgrade's not another thing. But a Mog lets them put this on here, And prayer basically gives you 1 attack dice and 1 defense dice when you fight in combat. It's hard to imagine these guys sitting around praying, but maybe they're praying to the evil orc god, I guess. That's it, basically. I like the troops. I'm looking forward to Wave 2 so we can have more troops, because I love using the troops in combat. The giant is probably my favorite of the new things that have been added. I just love having that big giant frost giant. The wraiths are pretty cool. The ballista, I really like this stuff. The wizard, I like all the spells. This is kind of an interesting cross-section that they did, because they really picked all sorts of things. I mean, I fully expected another dragon in the game, and I fully, it's cool to see giants. This is the first time we've seen all these different units being able to fight in a big sweeping game like this, and it's very cool. So, like I said, of these units, giant, maybe the wizard. Giant wizard, I don't know. I like both of them, but there's not a single unit that came out in this wave that I don't like using. All of them are a lot of fun. Check it out.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.